Hello, my name is Justin Schiller. I'm an antiquarian bookseller for more than the past half a century. And in 1967, I was very fortunate to meet Maurice Sendak. Maurice is often called the Picasso of children's picture books. And many reasons for that, which we hope you'll be able to better understand in looking at this exhibition we have put together with the cooperation of the Society of Illustrators. For the exhibition, we have 110 pieces of primarily original drawings. I think my favorite image in the show is a portrait Maurice did, a self-portrait in 1978 for TV Guide, represented the 50th birthday of Sendak, but also the birthday of Mickey Mouse. And it's called Me and Mickey. This is the original study that was done of the design, which eventually Sendak created into a full watercolor, which was then reproduced as a limited edition print. But you can see the creative energy in the pencil work. Also in the show, for the very first time, is examples of Sendak's original book illustration. He was only 18 years old, still in high school, and his science teacher threatened to prevent him from graduating if Maurice didn't illustrate a book that they had just done on the atom bomb called Atomics for the Millions. The book was done in 1947, but actually prepared and the pictures finished in 1946, which is the date of the contract. We have 6 examples here at the exhibit that you not only can see, but you could also acquire if anyone is building a personal collection. Book that fascinated him the most, and is also said to have come out of many years of psychiatry, is called In the Night Kitchen. It was published in 1970, and he uses the image of Oliver Hardy as 3 bakers. And the concept of the book, most people read for face value as the story of a young boy going to bed, and in his dream he goes into the night sky and flies around. In fact, Maurice told me this is an allegory of giving birth. It's a wonderful story. The entire book is conceived where Mickey is being baked as a cake in the oven. And that's how you have fresh bread in the morning. So ends the story. We're fortunate to have 2 sets of illustrations for this. Right after In the Night Kitchen came what Sendak himself called one of his finest outputs, his series of drawings for the fairy tales of the brothers Grimm. And we have one drawing here from that. It's an image called The Master Thief. And it's a perfect image, so perfect, drawn meticulously in ink, that most people think is an etching. This drawing Sendak replaced with another image from the book, from the same story. And the idea is each story would have one picture, but sometimes after doing a picture, Maurice would reconsider which image to use, and so a new drawing would get substituted. In a series of miniature books called The Nutshell Library, Maurice did this in 1962, and it's basically the adventures of a neighborhood child named Rosie, who is pulling together her brother, her friends who she plays with, Alligator, Pierre, Johnny, Kathy, and she would be organizing a summer recreation. And what Maurice did was take his drawings that he did for the Nutshell Library, and he had Carole King set them to music. And he did an animation in 1974 called Really Rosie. And Really Rosie became a very popular musical animation in 1975. And we have about 15 of the original pencil studies that was done in 1974 for the 1975 film. In 1993, Maurice did his only cover design for the New Yorker magazine. This was in conjunction to a book he did called We're All in the Dumps with Jack and Guy. And this was the period of the people living in cardboard cartons along Park Avenue in New York. And Maurice took two old nursery rhymes. He worked on this concept for over 30 years until he got exactly what he wanted. And I think We're All in the Dumps is one of his hidden gems that will eventually be appreciated at the level it should be. Maurice also took this concept and turned it into a lithograph. We have the original drawing for the lithograph above, and also we have copies of the printed lithograph. In 1993, when the book was being published, the intention was to do a limited edition of the book, but the economy was being threatened, and so the publisher held back. And 6 years later, the image itself was being threatened to be erased off the stone. It was actually drawn on stone. And to prevent that from happening, I persuaded Maurice to let us publish Lithograph. He calls it At Home with Jack and Guy. And you'll see the finished lithograph also on display. I think there are 200 copies of it, numbered and signed by Sendak. The idea is to let everyone know that everyone lives in peace and harmony and survives. In doing Where the Wild Things Are in 1963, Maurice wanted to protect his characters. It certainly caused a lot of excitement at the time, and he was given a commission to illustrate the credit crunch, which was to reflect the characters from the economic squeeze. Of the three characters he created, we're fortunate to have two of the studies. And you'll see from these images, they look very Wild Thing-like without actually being Wild Things. Also, in the early 1970s, he was hosted at a single artist exhibit in Zurich by his publisher Daniel Kiel. And there he has a happy birthday design of two children popping out of a cake. We have a printed poster that Maurice has inscribed to his close friend Lynn Caponera. If you take a good look at the images, you'll see again they're Wild Thing-like without being the more familiar Wild Things. And that brings us to 1980, when he created his masterpiece image, Moisha, the Wild Thing, with a giant sunflower. He wanted to learn how to do lithography and etching. He went to Tim Tyler of Tyler Graphics and created Wild Thing with a Sunflower as his exercise. None of his etchings or lithographs, with the exception of Nutcracker, were ever intended for commercial sale. They're extremely rare, and we're very fortunate to have one available for sale at the current exhibit. But as we walk around the show, you'll see other uses that Maurice did of Wild Things. His commercial use of we're having a t-shirt designed of a Wild Thing with his arms in the air, and seeing the transition from a t-shirt pencil sketch to the actual t-shirt itself. It's remarkable how that precise expression is captured so perfectly. Eventually, in the 1990s, Maurice was approached by Bell Atlantic, the telephone company, and they wanted him to do a commercial series called Wild Things Are Happening. And the idea to have friendly wild thing monsters representing Bell Atlantic. And to this, he did a series of animated cartoons that would basically be 1 or 2 minutes showing the various Wild Thing characters, introducing people, the internet, connecting one island to another island. And you'll see here we have several drawings from his Bell Atlantic series, which are available. Finally, I wanted to point out in our exhibit are a number of actual drawings used for stage sets. Maurice began doing opera in the late 1970s. Many of these designs are now at the Morgan Library. They were bequeathed by Mr. Sendak in his will that they should have the primary collection of his drawings. But before they went, we were able to get from Maurice examples of some of the stage sets